Hey, Tubies. This is Bob Hickman. It is so good to be back with you. Woo. It's Friday. We're heading into the weekend. Isn't that wonderful? Anyways, I'm so glad you guys are here. And a lot of you have been writing and saying, Seki Bob, what's that pendant that you're wearing in yesterday's video? Let me show you this here. This is one of my new little treats that I treated myself to. And this is known as a spell bottle. This is called the Hecate spell bottle. And this was made by Lady Angela McAllister of Rare Wicca Spells. And she has a YouTube channel here, Rare Wicca Spells. And she also has a wonderful store, rarewiccaspells.com. And I'll put the link below for that. But she makes these wonderful little pendants. They're made with herbs in them, as you can see. And they have Swarovski crystals. She makes all different types. This is just one of them. Look, it has a little skeleton keys on it, which is a symbol of the goddess of Hecate. And so this is a protection charm. And I just absolutely, I'm crazy about it. So anyways, if you want to get one of these, go over to rarewiccaspells.com. They're only like, I think like $10. And she, as I said, this is only one type. She has multiple types. But I just love this. It has protective herbs, real herbs in it, see? Isn't that great? And it's all sealed up, and it's a real blessing. So thank you for all of you who've been sending your compliments on that. Well, here we are Friday, and I mentioned to you that we were going to talk about Bigfoot. Now, some people are going to say, Seki Bob, do you believe in Bigfoot? Absolutely. And I'll tell you why I believe in Bigfoot. First of all, I grew up during the 1970s, and Bigfoot was a real big subject back then. And I remember a movie that my father took me to. It was a movie, it was a documentary. Interesting, I was a kid, but I enjoyed a documentary in the movie theater. It was about Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster. So it was a paranormal study, an investigation. Actually, not paranormal, it was really done from a scientific place. But it touched in on these phenomena. And we'll do another video about the Loch Ness Monster. But today we're going to talk about Bigfoot. And Bigfoot has a name in North America. It's also known as Sasquatch, which is an Indian name. And interestingly, if you study the Native American history, there are many tales throughout the Native American cultures all over North America relating to Sasquatch. And they've even drawn pictures of him. And Sasquatch is basically, nobody knows what it is. It looks like a giant ape or a giant man. Some people think it's a type of man, a human, and some people think it's an ape. I have a whole nother theory about that, which I'll touch in on in a minute. But the interesting thing is Sasquatch, or it commonly became known as Bigfoot, because he would leave footprints that are about 12 inches in length. And so his foot is massive. And the creature stood about 7 to 9 feet tall, much larger than the average human. And it was of immense strength. Many of the films and pictures of the Bigfoot or the Sasquatch shows him with a very large muscular chest, large upper body strength, very tapered waist, very strong legs. And it would walk upright clearly as a human, not dragging its arms like an ape, walks clearly like a human. I've seen pictures of the face of the Sasquatch, and it actually looks very human, very interesting. Now, there are a number of theories about Bigfoot. Some people say that Bigfoot is the missing link in evolution, that it is kind of the link before humanity. So, you know, kind of an advanced or another stage of Neanderthal man. And some people say that it's an ape. It's a type of ape that is natural to North America or to most of the world, really, and has just not been classified yet. Now, what's interesting is the sightings of Bigfoot actually are not just in North America. There seems to be a predominance of sightings in North America, but there are also tales of Bigfoot in Tibet, where he's known as the Yeti. And in India, Tibet, Mongolia. Also, there have been sightings in Australia, Not so many in mainland Europe, though there have been some sightings. I've heard of Bigfoot sightings in Russia as well, and also in South America. So this phenomena is global. And what's interesting is wherever the sightings are seen, there are usually remnants, which are these giant footprints. I'll put some pictures at the end here of the video so you can see what I'm talking about. But the footprints look like human footprints for the most part. And scientists have studied them. And because of the depth of the impression and the size of the foot, they're able to calculate the size and the weight. And as I said, it's a creature that stands about 7 to 9 feet tall and weighs in the probably like 200, 300 pound range. Very powerful. Doesn't seem to be fat, mostly muscle from what it appears. It's a very strong creature. Now, there have also been people who have found hair samples, like where there had been a sighting, like you'd run through the brush and some of his hair would catch on a thorn bush or something. So they have classified hair, and they're not sure what it is. It doesn't fit any known hair samples upon the earth. So that's another interesting feature of it. So a lot of people are saying, oh, well, I don't believe in it. It's just a myth. But there are scientific evidences. Now, you're going to say, well, Bob, what is the Bigfoot? Is it a man? Is it an ape? What is it? Well, you want to hear my theory? I believe that the Bigfoot creature is actually from another planet. I believe it is an alien species that was introduced into our environment. You're going to say, what? Now, I have some reasons for this, and one of them is that there are many people who have been abductees of aliens, taken aboard alien spacecraft. And some of the abductees on the alien spacecraft have actually seen these creatures being held in cages upon UFOs, upon ships. And when they inquired, they were told that they were creatures from another planet, not from Earth. And so some of the people that have come back from abduction experiences have validated that these creatures seem to be in the care of various aliens. Predominantly the Greys seem to have them. And also I've heard the Palladians as well. So the Bigfoot creature, I believe, actually has a otherworldly existence. Now, some people have told me that the way that this happened is that they didn't actually intend to introduce it into the Earth environment. It was actually an accident where some Bigfoots escaped at one point, and then they basically multiplied. A few of them escaped and formed colonies. They're interesting because they have a level of intelligence that is superior to the most animals. They can build shelters. They reason. They have a kind of a standard sort of pattern to their living. They form colonies, but they're not quite as intelligent as the average human in the sense of being able to engage in rational thought and have complex speech patterns, things like this. So they're kind of, in a sense, and I hate to say the word, but almost like subhuman, but higher than, probably most animals. They're higher than the apes, higher than the primates, but not quite fully like humans. Now, interestingly, as you know, many of the aliens that are coming from the other worlds tend to be much taller, between 7 and 9, some say 12 feet tall, such as the Andromedans that we've talked about. They're very tall. The Palladians, many of them are very tall. And so the Sasquatch also follows this pattern of the taller height, which we've seen coming from other worlds. So I do think that there is an alien element to it. Interestingly, I also, people said, well, Bob, if there's all these Bigfoots all over the world, why hasn't one been captured yet? Well, again, this goes back to the alien issue. I believe because they come from another world, that they also have what I call a trans-dimensional nature, meaning that they have the ability to materialize and dematerialize. And so this accounts for why they have not been able to be captured. They operate in a different set of physics, different law of physics than we know at this time. And so they literally can dematerialize and they rematerialize a mile down the road, you see. So they're hard to capture. And if one were caught in, say, for example, a trap, because I've heard people say, well, hunters set traps for them. Well, even if they get caught in the trap, they dematerialize. And what's interesting, if you research it, there are hunters who have set traps that have gone off that had captured a Yeti, and yet the only remains are some tufts of hair. And yet there seems to be no blood, no injuries, no anything beyond that. So I think it points to the transdimensional reality. So I find it very interesting because back in the 70s when I was a kid, we really thought of the Bigfoot as basically a creature of the earth, something that just lived on Earth, maybe something that evolved separate from traditional evolution. But as I have studied the UFO phenomena, and if you really research this, you'll find out there are other people as well who are believing this. I do believe that the Bigfoot creature, or the Sasquatch, is actually of alien origin. Now, there's another theory also that ties in with this, that the Bigfoot creature goes back to the time of Atlantis. Now, what's interesting is, talk about the hidden history of the Earth. I do believe that Atlantis did have extraterrestrial contact. In fact, they were in regular contact with alien cultures. It was an open society. I do believe that many of the Atlanteans were involved in genetic research and genetic experimentation. And there is one theory that the Bigfoot evolved out of the Atlantean civilization through genetic research. But again, even if that is true, I still do believe in the alien aspect, because I do believe a lot of the advanced technology of ancient Atlantis was brought by the alien cultures to the Earth. So again, we have another possibility of alien intervention. Anyways, those of you up in Canada, I know I have a lot of viewers in Canada. Canada is very famous for Bigfoot sightings as well, particularly out in British Columbia on the western half of Canada. And I'd be curious if any of you, particularly from Western Canada, have ever had a Bigfoot encounter, or if you're familiar with the amount of sightings in that area. Very, very interesting. It seems to be kind of one of the hot spots in North America for activity. So also the Pacific Northwest, the states of Washington, Oregon, and Northern California as well also are hot spots for activity. The East Coast also has activity, and I live in the state of Virginia. And interestingly, Virginia and the Appalachian regions supposedly has Bigfoot sightings. Now, what's interesting is I've done a study of where a lot of UFO activity occurs and where a lot of Bigfoot activity occurs. And you know what? There seems to be a little bit of an overlap, seems to be a parallel. Coincidence? Possibly. But again, I think it's another point in my alien theory. Anyways, guys, I'm going to put some pictures here of Bigfoot at the end. Check them out. Tell me in the box below, have you heard of Bigfoot? Are you familiar with Bigfoot? Where do you live? Have you ever seen Bigfoot? Do you know if there are a lot of UFO activities in your area? Very interesting. Let's take a look at this. Anyways, guys, I'm so glad you're here. Keep it here at Spirit Channel. We got more coming. Be back here Saturday. We got our Saturday night seance, and you don't want to miss it. Thanks for being here. Watch the pictures at the end. Blessings to you.